Breaking is a martial arts technique that is used in competition, demonstration and testing. Breaking is an action where a martial artist uses a striking surface to break one or more objects using the skills honed in their art form. The striking surface is usually a hand or a foot, but may also be a fingertip, toe, head, elbow, knuckle, or knee. The most common object is a piece of wood or brick, though it is also common to break cinder blocks, glass, or even a piece of metal such as steel bars. Glass is usually discouraged since its shards may cause injury when broken. Breaking can often be seen in karate, taekwondo and pencak silat. Spetsnaz are also known for board and brick breaking, but not all styles of martial arts place equal emphasis on it or use it. In styles where striking and kicking are less important and there is an emphasis on grappling or weaponry, breaking is less prominent. Traditional Japanese martial arts schools place little, if any, emphasis on board breaking, although the art of breaking objects was known as tameshawari, while the similar practice of tameshigiri or test cutting is used in sword arts. Types. Competitive breaking can be based on artistic impression, number of items broken in a given amount of time, number of items broken with a single strike, or time to break a number of items. There are several certified breaking categories in various journals of world records such as the Guinness Book. In a demonstration, a martial artist exhibits his or her skill by executing an impromptu choreographed sequence of breaks for an audience. Martial arts schools sometimes demonstrate challenging breaks in order to gain publicity and inspire enrollment or attendance. During promotion testing, many styles of martial arts require that students demonstrate the skills by executing breaks. The difficulty of a required break depends on the rank for which the student is testing. Failure to execute a required break is often sufficient grounds for failure of a promotion test. Materials. Wooden boards are the most common breaking item in most martial arts. Individual boards used may range from nominal sizes as small as 6x12x1 to as large as 12x12x1. The typical adult testing board is approximately 10x12x1. The grain of the board must be cut so as to be parallel with the striking hand. Children may use narrower and thinner boards, with 4- and 5-year-olds sometimes breaking boards as small as 4x12 by 1/2, and there are also plastic boards made of different composites which can vary the difficulty level involved in breaking. Technique. In general, breaking is used both as a method of measuring force of strikes for martial artists, as there was no other way to do this and only recently have devices such as accelerometers been used in martial arts, and as a measurement of mental fortitude, the ability of the mind and body to overcome. Generally, a martial artist engaged in breaking will practice by repeatedly hitting hard surfaces. Masutatsu Oyama, a famous breaker who was known for breaking the horns off bulls, would use trees. In karate, a device called the makiwara is used. This device has found more popular use by practitioners of other martial arts today. In the past, Shaolin and other earlier martial artists would use many different types of devices in order to condition themselves, not always for simply breaking, but using the same concepts used today. For instance, there is iron palm, iron shin, iron shirt, iron head, and other types of training which center around conditioning various parts of the body so they could withstand or give blows such as what is seen today in martial arts breaking. Many Chinese systems also are of the school of thought that internal energy, or Qi, is used when breaking, which is not dependent upon muscle strength and body weight. The general principles used in martial arts breaking training is similar to the same principles used for most athletics. The body adapts to stress. There are generally three areas a martial arts breaker wishes to force the body to adapt to: the bones, the skin, and muscles. The general principle here, for instance, for the bones, is found in Wolff's law, which states that the skeletal system will, after healing, be stronger if injury is put to it. Craig Edmonds demonstrates this theory after breaking hand in seminar measuring bone density, then measuring bone density after healing. In this manner the breaking practitioner operates not unlike a bodybuilder who works out with weights, then takes a period of rest to heal and allow the muscles to come back stronger. This kind of training is called progressive resistance training. See weight training for more information. Often differences in body structure can be seen in the form of calcium deposits between a breaking practitioner and a non-practitioner. Mike Reeves, a champion breaker, advocates in his book the usage of a Makawara and knuckle push-ups. With knuckle push-ups, he recommends starting on softer floor material and working your way up to concrete. USBA WBA founder Drew Serrano, producer of the documentary Breaking All Records, encourages practitioners to gradually increase the difficulty and amount of a material to avoid injury. He suggests that beginners should start with wood boards and increase the amount as technical prowess increases. Once a level of comfort, both physically and mentally, is reached, harder materials such as concrete can be attempted. There are safety concerns with martial arts breaking, so one should seek out an instructor. There are many small bones of the foot and hand which need to be very carefully and slowly conditioned for safety. Repeated damage to the extensor capsules of the knuckles can lead to long-term problems with dexterity. Speed versus power versus impulse versus soft break. There are generally three classifications of breaks: speed breaks, power breaks, and soft breaks. There is a fourth, lesser-known classification known as the impulse break. Speed breaks are breaks where the striking object is not held in place. The only way to break the object is to strike the surface with sufficient speed at a focused point of impact. Sometimes a board to be broken is held lightly between two fingers by a person. An advanced DAN test may involve an attempt to break a board as it falls through the air. Regardless of the strength of the striker, the board will only break if it is struck with sufficient velocity. Another type of speed break is that which involves breaking a number of objects over a given amount of time. A common time span is 1 minute, but this can vary depending on the material and venue. In competition, it is very common for a speed breaking category to limit the time to 8 to 10 seconds, enabling more competitors to participate. Records and specifics are kept track of by leading martial arts breaking organizations such as the USBA, WBA, and the ISKA. Power breaks are breaks where the striking object is supported. Either the break will employ human holders for horizontal, angular, or upward vertical strikes, or the break will require that the objects be stacked for downward vertical strikes. For a stacked break, the object is placed on sturdy supporting objects, such as concrete blocks, that are placed on the ground. Many color belt promotion testing breaks are power breaks. It is substantially easier for an inexperienced person to muster sufficient energy to break a wooden board with a power break. The vast majority of these employ human board holders. Often a stronger or more powerful striker may substitute some strength for technique and successfully accomplish the break. Most records that are catalogued are for power breaks. It is very common for black belt tests to use bricks, concrete patio blocks, or several boards stacked on top of supporting objects for challenging downward strikes. Taped boards are sometimes used to lessen the amount of human influence from the holders for a break. It is very difficult to hold a stack of boards more than 4 inches steadily enough for challenging break. Therefore, some strikers will tape a stack of boards together to make a brick for the holders to hold. Usually, however, test breaks at promotions and events are done without taped boards. Both the speed and power breaks deliver the energy required to overcome the tensor and flexion forces of the board through mass displacement, where the kinetic energy is given by half a meter (v2). That is, either the speed of the striking implement has to be high enough, or the striker must be strong enough to increase effective mass brought into the break to exceed the brick board's threshold. For single boards, it is generally easy to reach this threshold through power break. The third method, soft breaks, also known as key breaks, involve the use of palm heel strikes only. The material is usually supported horizontally on two ends. The breaker raises the hand and lets the palm strike fall by the use of gravity alone and no muscle power onto the material. The material is broken by energy transfer all the way through in a direct line from the palm the material. It is also through a wider area of impact and usually causes more damage than other strikes. This break is akin to striking a person with a slap. A palm strike can cause much internal damage, while a punch or similar strike cause more external. Also, a soft strike may leave a red mark, while most impact strikes leave more. Any person of any age, such as elderly people up to 80 and 90 years of age, can do this break and never seriously injure themselves. The most serious injury may be a palm that tingles if the break is not successful. Breaks of more than one piece of material, done with no spaces with this method, are also attainable by people of any age or gender. The reference video at the bottom of the page shows Rudy Timmerman Sajanim, of the National Korean Martial Arts Association, and the 9th degree Kongshin Bup headmaster is shown teaching soft breaking technique. Though fundamentally different, the fourth kind of break, the impulse break, is often confused with the speed break, because the striking implement can reach a high speed. But that is where the similarity ends. The energy transmission from an impulse break derives not from mass displacement, but from wave transmission. The mass of the hand, foot, etc. does not travel much further than necessarily to deliver the wave. This results in an extremely brief contact with the brick board face, and the wave itself causes the striking surface to flex than buckle. The less flexible the striking surface, the more likely to break. Pegged versus unpegged. There are two types of multiple stacked board settings, pegged and unpegged. Unpegged stacks are where multiple items are stacked directly on top of each other. Pegged stacks are stacks where multiple items are stacked with spacing items between them, usually wood spaces. Unpegged stacking allows a direct transfer of kinetic energy, and the striker must maintain peak force much longer than unpegged stack. As the striker moves down through the pile, they are encountering the resistance of each board individually instead of creating enough force to flex and break an entire stack unspaced. This is due to the way in which the two materials break. Wood, which is a natural fibrous matrix, flexes to a certain degree before it snaps at the target point. When unpegged, this allows for an entire stack of wood to flex upon impact, resulting in the break occurring in the order of furthest board from impact to the closest board. This can be witnessed in many novice demonstrations where the rear board will break, but the remaining top boards are intact. When pegged, the gap between the boards necessitates each individual board to flex and snap before the next board is reached in succession. Bricks, on the other hand, are ceramic and snap upon impact, with no flex action. When using a pegged design, the setup and positioning of the pegs is critical. Competitors work extremely close with the team to ensure that each peg is in proper location and will not shift. A peg that shifts from its location can potentially interfere with the overall break of the stack. If careful consideration and measures are not taken, pegs will typically shift during the initial stack and setting of the break. Concrete patio blocks, used in most major breaking competitions, require the competitor to shock the material and drive through from top to bottom. Spacing of materials in competition is also important to enable a clear winner to be established as the number of stacked items increases, whereas a limit of 5 unspaced patio blocks may be a common sticking point from one competitor to another. A stack of spaced patio blocks can provide more variables because of the increased confidence, which will narrow the field of competitors. This use of spaces makes competition more dynamic and exciting for competitors and spectators alike.